applications. The first which I propose to discuss is the process of cognition, how we interact with the world. What happens when we see something, hear something, touch something, or so on. So firstly, the suta perspective, what we studied in suttas, we have studied so many of them. So I have summarized them in this diagram very briefly, concisely. According to sutta perspective, what we are told, we have 6 ayatanas. You remember? Ayatana Babam, 6 ayatanas are there. We have eyes, ears, the taste, the smell, the touch, and the mind. And they have their corresponding objects. Eyes see, ears hear, tongue tastes, nose smells, body touches, and the mind thinks. So they are their corresponding objects which keep on operating, and when we come in contact with them, then that consciousness arises. This is what we are told. You remember? Chakku patijya rupe upajjati chakku vinyanam. So there is eye, there is a form, and based on this, the chakku vinyanam arises. This is what we are told in sutta. It's perfectly correct. And then, depending on how we how we respond, it gives that chakku vinyanam gives rise to phassa, phassa gives rise to vedana, then vedana will give rise to tanha, usually, because we react to them. So this is what we are told in the suttas. So the basic cognitive process is what is given in the next slide. You can just switch on to the next one.
So what is the meaning of the right to pictures of the law?
That I have tried to, this I have tried to explain from the point of view of output. These are input. How will you respond? You can respond either by fear or by love. These are 2 examples I used there in the class. That if you see a tiger, normally you will run away. But if you have a tiger who is your friend, then you will do that. There was a film, where the people had some lion cubs they had reared, and उनके घर पे बचपन में काफी समय तक रहे, बहुत बड़े हो गए तो लोगों ने कहा इसको निकालो यहाँ से. So then they went and put them in the wild. And after 2 years they went back to see if they survived. And when that lion saw this person, he came running and embraced him. So that's the picture of this. So the perception depends on perception, how you respond to a lion also. Now, we will not dare to wait for the lion and come and embrace us. So that I use it for explaining how we can react to the stimuli from outside. So here our interest is on basic cognitive process. So what suttas tell us is that there is a form, there is eye sensitivity, and eye consciousness arises. So when eye consciousness arises, there is seeing. But unfortunately we say I am seeing, I am hearing, I am smelling, because of the ignorance. So actually what is happening, there is no person, it is just a natural phenomena which happens under certain conditions. Conditions means certain pachaya. Pachaya word means conditions. Just as we have paticca samutpada. Paticca means dependent origination. So here also everything is dependently originated. We say I am seeing, but actually there is a seeing process which is happening, because there is an eye which is working, there is an object, there is light, we are giving attention to it, and we are alive. All those things are there, and therefore seeing is happening. There is no I who is seeing. So this is what we learn from the suttas, which is a good background for us to build on and to investigate the process in detail. Now, this is what is the kind of discussion which is found in most of the suttas. Now, if there are people who get into say that consciousness is arising only when we are seeing. So, what happens when we are not seeing? Or what happens when we are in deep sleep? According to, if you have focused only on this level, you will say in deep sleep there is no consciousness. So then how are you alive? So this issue is responded to in Abhidhamma. So in the next slide we will see, this question is asked, what happens when there is no sense-door interaction? For example, in deep sleep, what does How does a person become alive? So then we are to go into details on that. So the Abhidhamma teaches us that there are two kinds of chittas. One is called a process consciousness, Vithi chitta, and other is process-free consciousness or Vithi mutta chitta. Okay. Vithi means actually street. So Vithi chitta means chittas which are formed in a street, one after other, like a sequence which arises. And process-free chitta is Vithi mutta chitta. There is no kind of sequence of chittas arising. The same chitta arising and passing away, arising and passing away. Free from any process. There is no process happening. So it is this process-free chitta which is operative in deep sleep, when there is no sensory input, or when one is in mother's womb. So these are the process-free chittas is three functions, very important functions. First is it maintains the life continuum. Then it is known as bhavanga chitta. So when we are deep asleep, we are alive, the chitta, process chitta subside and process-free chitta takes over. So this is what maintains the life continuum in deep sleep, when it is known as a bhavanga chitta. But it's also a process-free chitta also has very other important functions. It functions as the death consciousness. At the time of death, then that chitta arises again. This is the last consciousness which occurs in our individual existence. So when we die, we will die in this life. The last chitta which will arise will be again the bhavanga chitta. And that is also the first chitta of this present life. The rebirth linking chitta. In the past life, somebody must have died, and from that chitta stream, I got created. The sankhara pachaya vinyanam. So this vinyana got created, which is now sitting here and speaking. So that at that time of rebirth linking, that chitta is also a process-free chitta. So it is called patisandhi chitta. There is rebirth linking consciousness, which is the first consciousness to occur at the moment of rebirth. So these are the three types of process-free chitta, or you can say three functions of process-free chittas.
Process-free chittas which when arise?
Yeah, they will also arise during, suppose when you are thinking, then we are again in process mode. Now we are not thinking anything, then the mind subsides into process-free chitta. So it goes into bhavanga. That's what was pointed out during meditation, When during meditation some thoughts subside and we sometimes happen no thoughts and we think, oh, mind has become peaceful. Possibility is that it may have gone to bhavanga. It's not necessary, it's a possibility is. Or you may have experienced, entered the stream also. So you can be doubtful, you're not sure what has happened.
So Silesh is saying, why is death process free?
Because there is no reactions which are happening at that time. In process chitta, normally wholesome, unwholesome reactions keep on arising, unless we are in deep clarity and we are not reacting, we are mindful. Those time we are not mindful. It's happening below the level of our awareness. So in the modern psychological jargon, you can say process-free chitta is subconscious mind. It's not exactly that, but जो Freud की process-free subconscious mind का implication थोड़ा different है, but it is something of the same kind, which operates normally below the level of our awareness. But when you meditate deeply, you can be aware of that also.
Even at the time of death, the person who is dying, can he be aware that where he is going to take next birth or where he is going?
If the person, there are certain nimittas which arise. Sometimes it also happens. One can be aware, but that doesn't. It's only a arising of that nimitta, which means the picture arises. This is my next life, but then you are helpless. You can't do anything.
The next life is there, but is he aware?
In some cases, that nimitta, it's called a nimitta. In some cases, that nimitta arises. We'll talk about it next. What happens just before death? We'll talk in the next slide.
So Sudhakar is saying that since Chuti Chitta is below consciousness level, there being big danger awaiting for me, right? This means in the sense that it's not something which we can do anything consciously to.
But it is not that Chuti Chitta which is responsible for relinking. That is the interesting thing. It is the Chitta immediately before it which arises,
Okay.
which does the relinking. Because Chuti Chitta and rebirth linking Chitta, they are subconscious level. They don't operate. They don't have any. They don't produce any karmic influence.
Okay.
Karmic influence is the Chitta which last Chitta of the previous life before the Chuti Chitta. So in the next slide that is explained. Slide number 12. So first thing, of course, we already know that Chittas which arise and fall away succeed one another. And thus each Chitta conditions the next one. This we have already discussed many times. Now the key thing is, the last Chitta of the previous life is succeeded by the first Chitta of this life. So the person who died, his Chuti Chitta is succeeded by Patisandhi Chitta of this rebirth linking. That is the Patisandhi means Sandhi which is happening, which is joining together. But the karmic influence is not there in that. It is the immediately preceding Chitta. So the Chitta that occurs just before the Chuti Chitta arises from a karmic process. And that determines the nature of rebirth linking consciousness. Okay, so if you draw a diagram, say these are the two Chittas. This is the last Chitta, penultimate Chitta, isn't it? And then the person, the person is dying. So this is when the person is dying is in a way subconscious level. So the Chuti Chitta takes over, which is the same as the rebirth linking consciousness. So it's peaceful. So that is peaceful in that sense. But just immediately before that Chitta can be extremely painful. It can be extremely agitated, it can be peaceful because it has a karmic influence. And it is this Chitta which influences the type of Chitta which will be the rebirth linking consciousness. So that linkage is there. So that's how it is explained.
Is it okay to say that the Chuti Chitta will carry that influence to the Patisandhi Chitta?
Yeah. Patisandhi Chitta actually is the accumulated impact of all that karmic force which is arising just before death. One moment, one mind movement. Mind movement means 1/1000th of a second or something of that kind.
Right.
So the Chitta which is arising just one mind movement before death will have all the seeds which it will shift on to the Patisandhi Chitta.
Yes.
And that Patisandhi Chitta will continue throughout the life.
But that seed will go.
That will be the seed which is there. Seed containing various dispositions, various habit patterns, various character traits which remain dormant throughout the person's life. So this is how the process happens. And as I put down in the fourth line, since people accumulated different tendencies in past life, they are born with different tendencies and inclinations, which are from the Chitta just preceding the Chuti Chitta. Okay? And then that is how the transmission takes, mechanism of death and next birth happens.
So Silesh has a question, is the death process immediate? Tibetans talk about bardo and in-between state.
Yeah, this is not in accordance with Theravada. Okay. That is their perception of bardo is their perception. Here it is Patisandhi is immediate. Now, depending on the nature of Patisandhi Chitta will be the birth. It can be human birth, it can be animal birth, it can be Deva birth. So it depends on that nature, which Chitta is going to arise. So Patisati Chitta arising in the sense realm is the result of Kushala Vipaka Chittas. So if you have done Kushala Kushal Chittas, then we'll be born in, which is called Kamma Vachara Chittas, then we'll be born in the sense realm. And depending on the intensity and nature of the roots and mental factors present or absent, one is born in different circumstances, different physical features. Somebody is born blind, somebody is born with all these senses intact, somebody is born beautiful, somebody is born very ugly, somebody is born deformed. So
By sense realm, you mean human?
it can be human realm also. It can also be in the, if there is akushala vipaka, then it will be in the, again in the sense realm, but in the lower planes. This is kushala vipaka. Positive.
Okay.
This is the result of kushal vipaka. So even in the kushal vipaka, as you will see, if the chittas are rootless, okay, kushal vipaka but rootless, then the person will not be born with full sensory apparatus intact. He may be born a human being, but some deformation of some kind, disability of some kind. This is what it explains. If we have akushala vipaka, if that penultimate chitta is which has arisen is akushala vipaka chitta, akushala vipaka santirana chitta, it will lead to birth in woeful planes, animal domain or hell domain or ghost or whatever. But if it is Rupavachara Vipaka, then it will lead to Rupavachara Loka. If it is a Rupavachara, it will lead to. So we can go to Brahma Loka, Deva Loka, and so on. So this is the penultimate chitta, the nature of that chitta, which will determine what kind of body a person will get. So the next slide discusses this bhavanga chitta, because it is some chitta which is going to operate, is like a subconscious chitta which operates always in the, whenever we are not in the thinking mode. So what is it, bhavanga chitta? We repeat again, it succeeds the first chitta in life, the patisandhi chitta. So from chuti chitta, the next chitta is called patisandhi chitta. Then patisandhi chitta will also die and next will be born. That next which is there, which is the bhavanga chitta, which will continue throughout the life. Not that it will remain all the time in the background, ऐसा नहीं है.
If one,
when there is conscious interaction, then one is conscious.
it will change, but
When the conscious interaction stops, so even during our waking state, when we are not doing any thinking, we go back to bhavanga. That's why when you are doing some mechanical work and you don't think anything, you feel peaceful. You don't feel any agitation or anything. Because if you may get tired physically, because if you're not thinking too much, if you're not, normally we are doing anything, we are always thinking. If you are thinking on purpose, you are writing a book or you're reading a book, obviously you're thinking. Or you're doing some coding, you're thinking. But if you are eating food, when you're thinking, then the mind is, in that state of, you're not enjoying, you're not in the state of peace. So when the thoughts fall and the next thought begins, between them also the bhavanga chitta will operate. So when the patisandhi chitta falls away, it conditions the arising of next chitta. And that second chitta of that life is the first bhavanga chitta of life. And this obviously is the resultant chitta, it is a vibhag chitta, it is the result of same kamma which produced the patisandhi chitta. So it has the same characteristics, similar characteristics. Not only the first bhavanga chitta, but all bhavanga chittas arising during a lifespan are the result of the kamma which produced the patisandhi chitta. So they are same, they don't get changed at all. So the bhavanga chitta remains constant. Same characteristics, arising, passing away, but characteristics remain the same because they are the ones which have been inherited from the past life. The impact of the past life is being carried on in the dormant stage.
Can bhavanga chitta have a sense of agitation in it?
No, bhavanga chitta is not sensing the body, is not even in touch with any of the body senses. That's why only in deep sleep it arises. Even when you are dreaming, the thinking is going on.
But what does bhavanga chitta do?
Keeps us alive. Life continues. Keeps us alive. Arising, passing away, and we keep on living a life. Breath keeps on operating. Chitta arises, breath goes in, chitta falls out, breath comes out. You can think like that. just putting it.
But what is the meaning of it's the result of the karma which produced? In terms of two people will have similar bhavanga chitta or
No, never. Impossible.
what?
Kamma. Kamma means that the chitta before the last life Shruti chitta.
That I understood, but what will be the qualitative difference between two bhavanga chittas of two persons?
Yeah, because their past karma which produced them is different.
Okay.
The karma which produces me and karma which produces you is different. So the bhavanga chitta will be always be of that kind, which was the penultimate chitta of the past life of that person who died and who produced this person.
But it doesn't expresses itself in the bhavanga state, but the
It
expression will
expresses
come
itself in the terms of thoughts and thinking process.
when the thinking starts again. That from that bhavanga chitta, the thinking
So
pattern will
that's
arise.
why the bhavanga chitta is also the influencing the manovinyana, because it carries the latent tendencies.
Yes, it's a latent tendency.
It carries the latent tendencies. So how I respond to the world will be determined by that.
Will be latent.
When I am impacted by the world, what the kind of thoughts which will arise will be dependent on that. And then what do I do with those thoughts further will be dependent on when I am awake, what I want to do.
But then you also mentioned that the latent tendency, bhavanga chitta doesn't change in whole life. Will that mean that our latent tendencies will remain same?
This issue I had asked Bhikkhu Bodhi also,
Okay.
but he says this is impossible to find out from the description of the Abhidhamma. How does because in our I had written in that in our meditative practice we find that latent tendencies do change when we practice for a long time. He says yes, they did change, but how that change is transmitted is not clear at all in the Abhidhammic literature. How is it being stored in that kind of storing process is not explained anywhere, because according to Theravada Abhidhamma there is no storage. According to other Abhidhamma there is a alaya chitta which stores the impressions and all that. Here it is not. Here things are rising, passing away, rising, passing away every moment. So they are just doing like in the modern science we talk of mother cell and daughter cell. बच्चों को पढ़ाया जाता है ना, cell die and mother. So the daughter carries the most important characteristics of the mother. So this is exactly the mechanism which is suggested in the Theravada Abhidhamma. That one cell's chitta dies, the other chitta carries the imprint of the earlier chitta. So the sankharas which are very strong, they are transmitted. Which are very light, they just drop off. That's what is the understanding. So now how does cognition take place? Say suppose we are in a deep sleep. Okay? And then only the subconscious bhavanga chitta is flowing. Now there is some object presented to the sense door. So somebody knocked the door. Now if the object intensity is mild, nothing is going to happen. You keep on sleeping. So therefore the intensity of the input is important. So if the intensity is classified into 5 categories: very great, great, slight, very slight. This way this is classified. At mind door it can be clear or obscure. So if there is a very great intensity input, then the bhavanga chitta is disturbed. How it is happening, I can't tell you. This is disturbed. This is what the Abhidhamma says, that when the intensity of external input is strong, the bhavanga chitta gets disturbed.
जैसे मान लो हम सो रहे हैं, भवन चित्त काम कर रहा है, दरवाजा किसी ने खटकाया जोर से, हम उठ जाते हैं, तो भवन चित्त ही तो डिस्टर्ब हो रहा है.
इसी को एक्सप्लेन कर रहे हैं ना. It is not, there is no mechanical explanation. It is just a description. So क्योंकि हमारी आदत है ना, as scientists we try to get into mechanics.
What else is operating which
is causing it to get up. So but we need to understand that Dhamma is a description of what is happening. So once you understand it, then ठीक है, ऐसा होता ही है. So what it is being said is that when there is a strong impact from outside, then bhavanga chitta is disturbed. And then, so there is a one chitta which arises, which is chalana chitta. It gets agitated, then it gets arrested because external input is strong. So when the bhavanga chitta is arrested, immediately the process chitta begins to arise. So the first chitta which arises is what's called 5-door adverting consciousness. Panchadwar Avarjana Chitta. If you remember, I had mentioned those as functional chittas and other things. So these are functional chittas which arise. So Panchadwar Avarjana Chitta means that immediately the chitta arises which tries to see कहाँ पे गड़बड़ हुई भाई, आवाज आई कि लाइट आई कि स्मेल आ गई, तो आप सो रहे हैं और जलने की स्मेल आ गई, तो जब बहुत तेज होगी तब जाग जाता है ना, धुआं आ गया तो जाग जाएगा, स्मेल आ गई. सो दैट 5-door adverting consciousness arise means just figure out कहाँ पे हुआ गड़बड़, नींद कहाँ से डिस्टर्ब हो गई, and then the eye consciousness is arising. So there is a very strong light or eye consciousness arises, strong sound, so the ear consciousness will arise. Okay, and then when that is arise, it is instantaneous, one mind moment. Then that there will be what's called a receiving consciousness, which will try to receive the input which is gotten. And then there will be an investigating consciousness, which will investigate what is the nature of input. And then there will be a determining. These are all mind movements, so you can see they are happening in just. Yeah, this is a phenomena which is described by the Buddha. Then there will be a determining consciousness, which will determine, okay, what is happening. So and then after that will be the what's called javana, the real Kamma formation period. All these are chittas which are rootless chittas, which are till determining consciousness. Then the roots form, because then the cognitive process really follows. Once it is determined that okay, sound has come, then our latent tendencies determine, or the perceptions determine. ये साउंड तो बहुत खतरनाक है, चोर आ गया है, या ये स्मेल बहुत खतरनाक है, आग लग गई है. So then that happens, and this happens over 7 mind moments, which means depending on if the intensity is strong, the impact will arise for 7 mind moments. There will be a assessment and reaction to the input which has come, sensory input which has come, and then the sensory resultant will be registered in the consciousness. There is a registering consciousness which determines, this is what has happened, and then the reactions will take place. So example is given in the Abhidhamma Sangatha of a man sleeping below a mango tree. गहराई से सो रहा है आदमी, गहरी नींद से, and a mango falls down. Then it describes all these steps in that manner. See, the mango falls down, there is a sound, and if the sound is strong, then it will affect. Then the person will get up and see. There will be disturbance, get up, he'll see a mango, then he'll see, then he'll investigate, take it up, then he'll investigate, क्या है, अच्छा ये mango है, then he'll check up and determine ये mango ठीक है, खाने लायक है कि नहीं है. So there is a determining consciousness. And then it determines कि भाई खाने लायक है, खाई दो फिर क्या रखा. So then that javana will arise, which is the 7 moments of enjoying that food or throwing that away, bakwas, and then getting angry कि मेरे को क्यों नींद से उठा के उठ गया, क्या है ये सब. So that is the javana, when the reactions to the sensory input will arise, and you register, the consciousness fixes upon this is what this may or may not arise depending on intensity of the input. So this is how the process consciousness is understood, and in the whole process therefore takes about 17 mind moments, which I have diagrammatically taken from a paper. In the next slide you can see those 17 mind moments. So we have process reads initially. The visible object and eye sensitivity will cease after 17th, and then next consciousness will begin to arise. Next consciousness. So this is the eye-door cognitive process, which you can see.
ये सबके साथ ही होता है ना?
Yeah, this is a description of the. लोग बता रहे हैं कि कैसे हम चीजें देखते हैं, सुनते हैं, तो उसको और गहराई से बताया जा रहा है. जैसे कि उसमें तो हमने सिर्फ यही देखा कि चक्षु विज्ञान जागा और देखना हो गया. This is giving a full detail of that process.
So can we say that one act of cognition along with our reaction
17 mind
to
moments.
this 17 mind moments, and then something next will happen, whether it at some other sense door.
That consciousness will give rise to subsequent effects.
Okay.
Series of other consciousness. So I think we'll stop 8:30. If there are any comments, you can take it up.
Any questions or comments are welcome. So Sudhakar is saying that how to apply this theory in life.
This cognition process will not happen.
Well,
This is not for this is for understanding objects.
okay.
This will not be applicable. This is a way of understanding how cognition happens, and especially because the question of death and birth keeps on happening. So this explains to us how the consciousness transmits from one stage to other and what Kamma will operate. So this will not be directly, if I may use the word useful, from the point of view of meditation.
Maybe it gives it
It gives you
context
clarity.
Clarity in the sense that suddenly when anger comes, then you can see that this input happened and this anger happened, and then you can stop being attached to that anger and you can just say, okay, it happened.
The most important advantage of this study is, as I said, all Abhidhamma was meant for depersonalization.
Depersonalization.
So all this explanation, if you really understand and appreciate, then we don't take cognition personally.
We don't yes.
The whole idea of Abhidhamma is to break this illusion of personality. मैं देख रहा हूँ, मैं सुन रहा हूँ, मैं react कर रहा हूँ. So it is telling that even that is happening because of things which you are carrying on from the past life. So it is in a way deconstructing that notion of personality. So this is a panya formation. So it is helpful in that.
That's the very first slide of the car, and this is a car, and then if you
break it apart,
then you can say this is the car.
Where is the car? Exactly. So it is basically to deconstruct. And since consciousness is the most stubborn attachment. देख तो मैं ही रहा हूँ यार, इसमें भी कोई doubt है क्या? So that also is being broken. That even sense perceptions are not you. It is happening because of certain conditions. If you have a certain tendency, you have carried out from past life, and it gives you a hint कि अगली लाइफ में भी यही अगर नहीं करना है तो सुधर जाओ. Make sure that your mind movements are positive, your mind movements are kushala. Let the frequency of occurrence of akushala mind movements reduce, so that at the time of death, the probability of a kushala mind movement arising increases. Isn't it? That's the way I look at it. To basically to caution us and to inspire us in positive direction. So the issue of death and next consciousness arising, and if there is no me, then who is dying, all that query gets calmed down when you understand arising and passing away of consciousness in this manner. The subconscious tendencies, how they operate, how they remain, that also becomes clear. Further, how they operate influence each other. You didn't ask me, and then nobody asked me, how is it that this chitta which is operating before the Chuti chitta is influencing the next third chitta? Normally we think of chitta dying and influencing the next, chitta dying and influencing the next, isn't it? This chitta is dying and then it is influencing the next chitta which arises. But there can be modes of influence beyond that also. Conditioning can be done beyond one particular immediacy. So those conditioning is explained in the Abhidhamma.
Conditioning is the one which we generate in the present life.
Not in that sense. Conditioning is by what mechanism the influence is being transmitted. What is the method by which influence is being transmitted? In the normal discussion till now, we have been saying one chitta arises, passes away, and next chitta arises. So we say this is mother, this is daughter, mother cell, daughter cell. So from mother the influence is being transmitted. But just now I told that the Chuti Chitta next is succeeded by Patisandhi Chitta. But it is not Chuti Chitta which is influencing Patisandhi Chitta. It is the Chitta before that it is influencing.
Right.
So there is a problem in that case. If we think that only the immediately preceding Chitta is influencing, then you may question ये क्या हुआ?
But I thought that the Chitta before Chuti Chitta would give its impressions to
Chuti Chitta is not going to change. No?
Okay.
It is the Bhavanga Chitta, it remains the same.
Right. Then how the
impact is
being transferred.
Yeah. So that is the domain of Patthana. Pachya जो है ना dependent conditions, this conditions that. So there can be various modes of conditioning.
Okay.
So that's how when you study Patthana, then that becomes clear. Oh, this is the avidya pachya sankhara. We say sankhara pachya vinyanam. It is true, but how? What is this pachya? Which kind of pachya? Sankhara pachya vinyanam. Which kind of pachya? It's obviously not immediately happening like mother-daughter. Something else is also happening.
Okay.
So that conditioning, this kind of a dependency जो है, that is explained in Patthana. So when you study these in detail, it deconstructs that whole thing. You know, everything seems like a kind of cause-effect relationships which are happening. You know, it breaks the solidity of the world. So the whole exercise of Abhidhamma is for Panya, developing Panya. And then we get hints of how it will help in meditators. So if the Panya is developed, it naturally will helping in meditators in becoming relaxed and doing things in a manner which is in accordance with Panya. That's how it is helpful.
Any more questions, friends?
So this in the Burma, there are many teachers who teach Abhidhamma and then teach Upasana. तो पहले theory पढ़ लो, then you practice, then you will be able to investigate. Panya is Dhamma Vichay, and Dhamma Vichay, how will you do unless you know what to see? So you will be totally become mechanical and seeing things without investigating.
Unless you ask questions.
Unless you ask proper questions, only proper questions. You will not be able to find out.
Try to correlate with what you have studied. Whether is this happening or is that happening?
So of course there is whenever you study theory, there is a danger that तुम theory में फंस जाओ. Practice ही ना करने लगो. दूसरा danger है कि तुम practice में फंस जाओ, theory ना समझो. So it is like the classical example is given of a blind man and a lame person. So you should be, if I am lame, and तो क्या करते हैं कि lame आदमी ने को तो घोड़े उसने blind आदमी ने अपने कंधे पे उठा दिया, अब जहाँ जाना जा सकते हैं. Blind uses his legs and the lame person directs कहाँ जाना है. So this is the analogy which is given of study and practice, pariyatti and patipatti. Okay. If you don't know how to investigate, तो तुम चले जा रहे हो, अंधे की तरह चले जा रहे हो, करे जा रहे हो, करे जाओ.
Investigation is like trying to see.
Dhamma which the first Bhojanga is Sati, second is Dhamma Vichay. Dhamma Vichay is Panya, basically. Dhamma Vichay, उसमें Dhamma Vichay नाम दिया गया है for sake of clarity. Otherwise, Dhamma Vichay means Panya. So if you have, so Panya is seen like eyes, which tells you which direction to go. So if you have a lot of energy, खूब वीर्य भी है और एफर्ट भी करे जा रहे हो, काम भी करे जा रहे हो, बट इन्वेस्टिगेट नहीं कर रहे अपने एफर्ट को, अपने एक्सपीरियंस को इन्वेस्टिगेट नहीं कर रहे. So then you will keep on having all kinds of experiences and developing all kind of relationship with the experiences and conjecturing ये तो ऐसा हो गया, वो तो ऐसा हो गया. So that's why the importance of this is given from the point of view of development of Prajna.
There is a question from Sudhakar. when one experiences something, he has to check where it fits in the theoretical scheme of things.
In some sense, yes. I would put it differently. And I think मैंने अपने Facebook post में भी डाला था वो. Sorry. It is not what we experience that what matters. What matters is how we learn from that experience. And we will learn from that experience only if we know how to investigate it properly. So when you get a very pleasant feeling and you get Dhara Prava and very nice feeling, you can say, "Kaun kiya, ab kya rakha hai?" Everything, Anand bhi Anand hai. Stop, finished. You don't investigate its nature. And then you take this as a meditative attainment कि मुझे तो ये भी हो गया, भंग भी मिल गया, अब क्या है? Perfect. I'm a very good meditator. तो आई का भाव तो और बढ़ा दिया. Deep trouble. So the same experience can be investigated wrongly, gives rise to ditti rather than panya. Sakkaya ditti आपकी strong हो गई, पन्या तो छोड़ दो. So that's where the importance of investigation comes in. And for investigation, we have to rely on a teacher who tells us how to investigate. Isn't it? हर आदमी माइक्रोस्कोप लेके पानी को देख सकता है, वो करेगा क्या उसको देखने का? जो दिख रहा है उसको करेगा क्या? What did you figure out of it? So you need a Buddha to tell us what to see, how to see. Isn't it? So Buddha has told us, look for this. Look for who is doing it. Look for where are you when you are saying I am seeing. Look, find out where are you. Try to find where are you, who is seeing. So that Yavadev Jnana Mattaya Sati Mattaya Nishchitocha Viharati. That will happen then. Till such time as you keep on practicing, till such time as only knowledge remains. Jnana Mattaya is Patisati Mattaya and deep awareness. There is no knower, only knowledge. This is what Satipatthana says. How will it happen without investigation? Ayatan Pappam, Khanda Pappam, Dhammanupasana, why all that? Break through that old strong, tenacious hold of personality view on us. Good, sir. Any other question? Sorry for my excessive cough and disturbance.
Sudhakar is saying Dhanyavad.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, so we'll close for the day. And he's saying a speedy recovery.
You must pray for pollution-free Delhi. That is the problem.
Yeah, lots of pollution.
The real problem is that.